Welcome to another segment of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons. Today I'm going to be talking about the episode from Season 4, The Competition. If you're enjoying these, you know the routine. Please like, subscribe, share with your friends, and hit the notification bell if you want to know when I'm posting another one. The episode The Competition was directed by Alf Kjellin. Alf started his career in Sweden as an actor and had had quite an extensive career in his home country, and then did some acting also in the States. One of the things he was most known for was playing the Russian paratrooper in the film Ice Station Zebra. And then he went on to quite an extensive career as a director. I remember early on, Kjellin is a tough name to pronounce, and certainly from looking at the spelling of it, you would not intuitively know how to pronounce it. And Eric Scott, early on, he wanted to ask him a question, the director, and so we were usually rather polite when we were youngsters. So Eric was trying to get his attention. He was like, Mr. Kjellin, and finally he went, Alf, because he just couldn't figure out how to say his name. So I've always remembered that cute little incident with Eric. Mary Ellen and Erin did occasionally both have an interest in a good-looking young man who came to the mountain. I remember in The Abdication, we both giggled over the attractive English assistant director that came to town with the movie studio when one of the reverends, I believe the one when Peter Fox was playing the reverend, we both thought he was cute, the characters. This is the first time, and I think the only episode when there's actually conflict between Erin and Mary Ellen over a young man that they both find attractive. And so that was a different sort of dynamic between the two involving a young man, where Mary Ellen thinks I saw him first and you're a child, so Erin should just back off. And Erin is truly having her first serious young love. So that was a fun storyline and an interesting one to have between the two sisters. The character of Chad was played by actor Michael O'Keefe, who went on to star in films like Caddyshack and Michael Clayton. The character of Chad reappears in a later season, the elopement episode, when he comes back and does indeed ask Erin to run off and marry him. Erin is still underage at that point and ultimately decides that she's young and wants to wait, and Chad isn't ready to wait, so he leaves, says he might be back, but we never saw Chad again. Another case of Erin's love life not quite being in sync. Mary would laugh about, she would always say that the character of Erin was a sequence of kiss and cry. A lot of boys came into Erin's life. Many of them she kissed, most of them left, and she would generally find herself crying over these various different boys and young men who went through her character's life. Mary Ellen and Erin's rivalry turns a little bit physical here, where the two of them get into a little bit of a cat fight. I'm sure Mary and I had a lot of fun creating this little spat and a little pushing and shoving and hair pulling. I used to do that with my sister. Erin and Chad had a moment at Druscilla's pond. In this case, he makes a comment about marrying her, and she says, I wouldn't marry you for all the tea in China, which was reminiscent to me of Mary Ellen saying to Kurt, I wouldn't marry you if you were the last man on earth. Then Erin pushes Chad into the pond, and Chad pulls Erin into the pond with him, and they share a bit of a kiss in the pond, which also reminded me of Mary Ellen's first kiss, also while standing in Druscilla's pond in the episode The Awakening. The other main plot in this episode is that Olivia would like to have another baby. She misses cuddling and holding a young baby, so they decide that they will foster a child because Olivia goes to see the doctor, and because of having lost a child the year before, the doctor advises against her having another pregnancy. In this case, that doctor is Rance Howard, once again reprising his role of Dr. McIvers. Rance, of course, is the father of famed actor-director Ron Howard. Always a pleasure to have him back on episodes with us. John and Olivia ultimately agree that they will foster a baby who is waiting for adoption papers to be finalized. So here you have Olivia once more holding a baby, and she just looks perfect with it. In this case, another circumstance where the Waltons were using young infants. So probably twins once again. In this scene, the director has chosen to make the overhead light a prominent piece of the set, of the frame of the camera. And in this case, that light is practical, which means that it is on and functioning and we actually see it. We typically saw the light over the kitchen table, but it wasn't always on, which begs the question of where was the source of light supposed to be coming from in that kitchen. But in this case, they actually turned it on. Because there was no ceiling, this light would have been suspended from rigging up above the set of the kitchen, and it would have been wired, but in this case, they would have actually turned it on so that you saw it. This moment where you see an exterior shot of the storm coming through, this would have been a piece of stock footage because we would not have had an actual storm out there, and because of seeing the mountains and everything in the distance, we would not have created that rainstorm at that moment, so it would have been stock footage. By the end of the episode, Mary Ellen and Erin do make up, and Mary Ellen realizes that Erin really did and is in love with Chad and feels badly for her. I think for Mary Ellen, although she was interested in Chad, it was easier for her to let it go, and she loves her sister more than she needed to, win Chad. So they make up, and they have a very nice moment where Mary Ellen comforts Erin, who is suffering from this first crush and the loss of this young man. That's what I have for you on this segment of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons, the episode, The Competition. I'll see you for more Behind the Scenes of the Waltons and more Ask Judy. Thanks for watching.